everyone, I'm going to show you how to tie off a stitch, a seam, once you're done sewing it. If you get done with your seam and you just cut this thread right here, it's all going to pull out and your stitch is going to be wasted. So you need to make sure you know how to tie it off. I'm going to get to the end of my stitch. In this case, it's a basting stitch. And I'm going to make sure my stitches are all even and that this thread is in front. If your thread is behind your fabric, it's pretty much impossible to tie it off. You would have to turn the fabric around or something. So make sure that your thread is out in front. Your stitches are how you want them to be because this is going to make your stitches permanent. Right? I am going to take a small back stitch. It doesn't have to be big. It really should be small. A small stitch backwards and then come up close to where my original stitch came out. So if I get really close here, you can say it's backwards and then come up right where your stitch came out. And I'm going to start to pull my thread through in a loop. You might want to hold on to the loop to make sure it stays organized. And before that loop goes all the way through the fabric, I'm going to stick my needle back through that loop. So you see, it goes through the loop. And then I'm going to pull a knot onto the fabric. Now, if I pull just one knot onto the fabric, a lot of times it'll come out. So usually I will tie 3 knots in a row. So I just do a little back stitch and then come out at the same space as before. I start pulling my loop, and then before the loop goes into the fabric, I stick my needle back through and pull it tight. Now don't pull it too tight or else it will bunch up your fabric. Just pull it till it's even. I'm going to do one more knot. So I do a little bit of a back stitch. I come up to the front of the fabric. I start pulling my loop and I stick the needle back through the loop. And now I can cut it off. I do want to give you a recommendation. If you don't have very much thread left at the end of your stitch, you're not going to be able to tie a good knot. Make sure you have at least 4 inches, which is about the width of your hand. If you don't have that much, then you should just end your stitch sooner, tie it off, make a new needle with new thread, and start again. It's okay to have more than one piece of thread in your stitch, but you don't want to have a knot that's pulled tight. It will ruin your stitch. Okay, and that's how you tie off any kind of stitch, running stitch, basting stitch, anything.